In the middle of a vast stretch of white snow, with sharp wind cutting through the air and breath turning into mist, an unexpected moment unfolded. There was no camera rolling for an official scene, no director calling action. Instead, there were two men standing in the freezing cold, laughing so hard they could barely keep their balance. The sound of their laughter rang clearer than the wind itself, and that brief, unguarded moment, ordinary and unscripted, quickly became one of the most talked about behind-the-scenes clips on Chinese social media. The one laughing until his eyes nearly disappeared was Xiao Zhan. It was a familiar smile, yet strikingly different in this setting. There were no stage lights, no polished styling, no carefully chosen angles. He was dressed in the heavy, worn layers of his character's costume, standing in sub-zero temperatures. His face looked noticeably slimmer than before, the lines sharper, but when he laughed, everything softened. His eyes curved into thin crescents, and for a moment he looked less like a star and more like someone completely absorbed in the present. Beside him stood Wang Yanlin, taller, solid, instinctively positioning himself slightly closer to block the wind. One arm slipped naturally around Xiao Zhan's waist, steadying him as the laughter threatened to tip him off balance on the slippery, snow-covered ground. There was no hesitation, no awareness of cameras, no sense of performance. It was simply a reflex, the kind that comes from standing next to someone in harsh conditions and responding without thinking. The moment itself lasted only seconds, but it was enough. Behind-the-scenes photos and short clips began circulating almost immediately. In them, Xiao Zhan leaned heavily toward Wang Yanlin, laughing uncontrollably, while Wang Yanlin gently rocked him back and forth, as if making sure he wouldn't fall. There was no sign of rehearsal or staging, just a spontaneous reaction in the cold. That authenticity was exactly what drew people in. Viewers joked that Xiao Zhan looked so light he could be held with one arm. Others playfully called him a living pendant, noting how, in certain frames, he seemed to fit effortlessly within Wang Yanlin's grasp. The comments were teasing but affectionate, filled with warmth rather than mockery. What truly caught attention, however, was Xiao Zhan's state in that moment. This wasn't the carefully maintained image of a leading man on the red carpet, nor the composed presence seen in interviews. Here, he appeared unguarded, thinner, visibly tired, yet vivid and real. It was a version of Xiao Zhan that audiences rarely get to see, relaxed, unfiltered, unconcerned with maintaining a flawless persona. Wang Yanlin, on the other hand, didn't need to say much to leave an impression. Through small actions, standing close, keeping a steady arm in place, adjusting his position without fuss, he created a sense of ease. In some clips, his unmistakable northeastern accent could be heard as he cracked a joke, sending Xiao Zhan into another fit of laughter. The contrast was clear. One easily swept up in emotion, the other grounded and steady. Together, they formed a dynamic that felt natural and satisfying to watch. From these details alone, a simple behind-the-scenes moment turned into a widely shared topic. Short edits circulated rapidly, accompanied by comments like, "Just watching this makes the cold feel less harsh," and "These are the moments you don't forget." People weren't captivated by drama or spectacle, but by something unexpectedly gentle. The attention grew even more when viewers noticed another scene from the same day. For a particular shot, Xiao Zhan's character was required to be blindfolded while moving through heavy snow. On screen, it was part of the story. Off camera, however, Xiao Zhan's vision was genuinely limited, and once again, Wang Yanlin was the one guiding him, watching his steps, keeping close, making sure he didn't slip. What was scripted for the drama became, in real life, a quiet act of consideration. This contrast only deepened the fascination. On screen, the character carried trauma, tension, and emotional weight. Off-screen, there was laughter, support, and a casual arm around the waist. Cold and warmth existed side by side. pressure and release followed one another naturally. That duality made the moment linger in people's minds. So why did such a short clip resonate so strongly? Why did viewers stop scrolling, watch it through, and often replay it? Perhaps because in a digital space filled with carefully curated images, these unscripted seconds felt rare. They didn't demand attention, they earned it simply by being real. And behind that shared laughter in the snow, it seemed clear that there was more to the story. Quiet moments, unseen effort, and human connections that audiences were only beginning to glimpse. In truth, nothing about that moment was planned. It took place during the demanding winter shoot of A Good Way to Live in a Small Town, where the cast and crew worked long hours outdoors in extreme cold. The wind was relentless, the ground slick with ice, and every scene required more endurance than usual. That day, Xiao Zhan had been filming physically and mentally taxing scenes. His character included moments of limited vision, heightened tension, and emotional restraint. Once the camera cut, the accumulated pressure released itself through laughter, an instinctive response to stress and exhaustion. Wang Yanlin happened to be closest, not because of any arrangement, but simply because they were in the same unit of the shoot. When Xiao Zhan laughed and lost his balance, Wang Yanlin's reaction was immediate. He reached out and held him steady, without pausing to consider how it might look. There was no attempt to create a moment, no awareness of how it might be interpreted later. It was an ordinary action between colleagues facing the same freezing conditions. That ordinariness is precisely what made it resonate. It wasn't polished or intentional. It was the kind of fleeting interaction that happens all the time on sets, but is rarely noticed. Yet when captured, it revealed something quietly powerful: how people support each other when the work is hard and the environment unforgiving. As the clips spread, the online response remained notably gentle. Comments focused on how comforting the moment felt, how refreshing it was to see laughter without tension or competition. Many admitted they watched not out of curiosity about the drama, but because the scene itself felt calming, a brief pause from the usual noise of the internet. Perhaps what stayed with viewers wasn't the arm around the waist or the laughter itself, but the sincerity behind it. In the middle of harsh weather and demanding schedules, there was room for something human to surface. And sometimes, it's these unintentional moments, quiet, fleeting, and real, that leave the deepest impression long after the screen goes dark.